But yeah, man, welcome back to the podcast. It's been about 5 years. I looked it up back in
Wow, that's
July of 2020.
wow. A crazy
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Middle of COVID, pretty much at that point. Nobody knew what the fuck was going on. And you guys just put
Yeah,
out a record.
yeah, man. Yeah, it came out like a couple of weeks or something after that. So I think I remember doing the podcast and I kind of remember that. I remember that time period pretty well. So
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but I know we talked about like weird venues that we had both been at. And uh, just, yeah, it was a long time ago, so I don't remember the whole thing, but it's 5 years later now. Uh, how has everything been in that time? Getting out of the COVID hole, getting back to making music, touring. What has that 5 years been like for you guys?
well, it's difficult to sum up the
Yeah,
5 years in between then and now. I think things have been in some ways better for Primitive Man and in other ways worse, but I'll focus on the good things. We've done a lot of cool stuff and toured with a lot of cool bands and done a few other releases like collab with Full of Hell and stuff like that, and a lot of touring and lots of fests, and now we're here with this record, which took a couple of years to write.
yeah,
So that's kind of, in there as well. But really, as soon as the pandemic kind of started to end, we were on the road. Like we were on tour, I think it was December of 2021. And then because they'd opened a bunch of shit up and whatever, and then we went out and went on tour and did that. And then went over to Europe that following spring with like all the touring with like mask mandates and like doing all of this kind of shit and like weird rules and clubs where everyone was wearing masks. We played Psycho Las Vegas that year, wearing masks and doing that whole thing and going through all that. So very unique time period when touring first came to be and the shows were crazy and everyone was so excited, but now things are starting to feel normal like they like
yeah,
they did, like they did before we went through all of that shit. I'd say that things are a little bit more so like it was in 2019, what how things used to be. So
yeah. I've been going to more shows again within the past couple years. I waited a little longer than most people, but
I
yeah,
know a
it,
lot
it
of
feels
people,
normal,
yeah.
man. Yeah,
Yeah, man. I know a lot of people actually that even just this year have gone to their first gig,
wow.
and so that's why I say if those people are starting to come out and feel safe enough to do it, then I think yeah, we're getting a little bit back to what it, how it was beforehand. So
Yeah, it does feel like as well, like it's getting to that point again where there's like too many good tours going on and you got to kind of like pick and choose again of like, oh man, do I want to go to this show or do I want to go to that show? Or maybe we can try and squeeze in both.
yeah, man, which I guess I can't complain. It's good that people
Yeah.
are back doing it. It's good that people are able to play. So
Yeah. Yeah. So, in between Primitive Man, like we talked about on our last episode, Vermin Womb, and you've also been doing your spiritual poison stuff as well. You've been working on that. So you've been pretty much busy with other music as well. And how have you kind of like, uh, found time in between Primitive Man to work on those projects?
well, really, it's just whenever Primitive Man is not on tour and I'm here at home, I kind of put some energy into doing this other stuff when I can. And Vermin Womb, that shit takes a really long time to do. Even though the songs are so short, it takes us a long time to put all that stuff together. Um, so I'm always kind of doing that in the background. And then the solo material is stuff that I like, ideas that I collect and kind of formulate over the course of a few years. So I think it's like more so a lot of planning is being done longer than you would think. And then I'm able to kind of complete these projects because I've been like planning them for a long time and putting this stuff together, but it all just kind of happens at once.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing that I enjoy about Spiritual Poison, it kind of takes a lot of the I guess like ambiance that you have like way in the background of the Primitive Man stuff, but it's like that's all you're getting is like that ambiance and you're kind of like setting a mood and a lot of it reminds me of like, and this is just my opinion, so I'd be curious to hear like where it comes from for you, but it reminds me of like Halloween and horror movies a little bit, you know, scary,
Yeah,
spooky shit.
yeah.
Darkness, you know, a lot of like that kind of feeling with the soundscapes that you create. So I'm curious where that comes from you on that side of things.
I'm listening to other artists that are doing the same kind of stuff. And
Okay.
I think that this music lends itself to horror movies and stuff like that really well.
Yeah.
Um, and do consider movies when I make some of this stuff, like
Nice.
in terms of keeping like motion going within it because it is so free form, you kind of have to keep it moving.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? But yeah, really listening to other artists that make music like this is the framework that I'm coming from. And I do like for like a weirder example of influence, like a lot of because there's like field recordings on this stuff and things I've like collected out in the world and
Oh,
have
nice.
turned into like a sound source. So finding like um sound in the world around you and shit like that.
Yeah.
So if that kind of answers your question.
Yeah, yeah. So with I don't know much about like electronic music and everything like that, but I know you've played some live shows with that. How does that differ with like how it's done? I know this is like a dumb question, but I don't know a lot about it, but I've seen the live shows where you have like this whole setup. What goes into that? Like the gear and all this stuff to like make those soundscapes kind of play like they would on a record.
Um, so I have different setups for different things.
Oh,
I
cool.
use a lot of modular stuff for Spiritual Poison. I've done shows where I'll have the Euro rack and modular stuff set up, and then a guitar and amp, and then effects for the guitar, and do all that at once. um, or just shows with just the modular, depending on like what is needed and what I can get away with the scenario. Because when you're like doing this stuff by yourself, sometimes people want you to keep your footprint really small.
Hmm.
But if I have the space and everything, I'll have an amp and all that with the guitar, and then with the electronics and some samples here to fill in what I wouldn't be able to do, without other people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So a few samples here and there, but it's like triggering like dialogue or like a sound. It's not like
Okay.
a bass or anything. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just a part of the texture of what's going on. So I tried to build these textures in a live. So the stuff that you hear,
Mhm.
it's all nicely put together and everything. And because there's an end idea and result that I want you to hear. So when I'm translating this live, I'm trying to authentically build the textures. So I might start out in a way that is not exactly like it is on the record, but it will end up like it is on the record because there's like a whole build up to getting these sounds and textures that you may not hear on the recording. So I think that that's like the biggest difference
That's cool though. Yeah. That's why I was
between the
curious about it because I don't know enough about like that side of it and like I was like there's got to be some difference here.
yeah, yeah, and I, I'm not really trying to recreate the albums
Yeah.
100% in a live scenario. I'm definitely trying to give like a hint of it, but there's like a free form like spirit to this stuff.
That's cool. Yeah.
Because my life is so rigid with my metal bands that
Right.
uh I'm trying to escape that over in that other world.
Yeah. Yeah, which is why I kind of wanted to ask about that because it is such a departure from everything else, but it seems like you have these different creative outlets for different things you want to do and being able to separate the two is got to be nice, I assume.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, I love playing with my bandmates and doing the things that we do and creating with them and putting all of our ideas together and making this stuff is very fulfilling for me. But it is also fun to make noise and sound and be a musician and like sort of there's a goal there, but you're playing more to like in the literal sense, like you're playing like
Hmm.
to get these sonic textures more than I'm like not fucking playing when I play Primitive Man shit. Whereas like there's a lot of play and exploration in the live setting with this other stuff, and I think that is I don't know. it's fulfilling in a different way.
Yeah. So one thing I know we did talk about again on our last episode was kind of like the last album had like a rough going. I think we were talking a little bit about mental health back then. How are you feeling these days with everything and going into this album?
Well, I don't remember what we talked about then, but
Yeah.
I can tell you that between then and now, from how I perceive it to be, is that I'm in this place now. I've passed 40 years old, and stuff since then, since
Wow.
we talked. And my like all sorts of shit has happened. Like my father died, and like I like lost some other people in my life. All sorts of stuff has happened. So it has changed my perspective on a lot, and about how I like live my life and look at things. And I think now I can acknowledge all of this bad shit that's happening in my personal life and in the world around me. Um, but that I'm really not quick to like give up hope. I'm not gonna just like lay down and die over this type of shit.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for a way out and for a better future and a better solution. And the record deals with that, and the record deals with struggling with wanting to not have these dark feelings and these dark thoughts and these dark impulses while things are bearing down on you, and like really trying to get enough speed behind yourself to keep your head above water. So
Yep.
I think that like I'm in the I'm keeping my head above water no matter what place. Whereas before I may not have been as concerned about surviving. Like I like wanted to, but I might not. And that's okay. Whereas like now I'm like, no, I'm gonna make it. Like I'm very much working to make it, you
That's
know.
good to hear, man. Yeah. No, I'm
Yeah.
very sorry to hear about the passing. That's death
I like
is
that.
something I've been also acknowledging more and more as I've getting older. I'm like 2 years away from being 40 myself, so I've had people pass away as well, and it's just like, whoa, okay. This is when you're like face to face with that mortality, it does shift something in you where it's like when it's closer to you, and you kind of do start seeing things in a different way of like, well, this person's no longer alive. How do I kind of honor that by like trying to make my life better, because they didn't get to fully live their life or something along those lines. And yeah, it definitely shifts a lot of your like mental stuff, I think.
Yeah, like the people that die, and I've thought a lot about that, and it's like the people that died before today that you knew, they don't get to do this shit. So try
Yeah.
and enjoy doing it. They don't get to do that at all anymore. It just like all of a sudden was not an option for them. And I think that if you were cynical, you're like, yeah, well, this shit fucking sucks. And it's like, yes, you can look at it that way. And I have looked at it that way, and I understand that. But I personally could not survive for like very much longer if I wasn't trying to make things better. It's like, and I'm still a realist. I'm still like looking at everything that's around me. It's not like I'm ignoring any of that, but if I'm going to be here, I'm going to try to make the most of it and try to make it as good as I can while I'm doing it. And
Yeah.
I'm just not going to resign to the misery, man. Like if I experience misery, I'll accept that. But because that's like a part of the human experience, you have to have that miserable shit in order to feel good at all. And I don't know. I'm off on a tangent here, but
No, it's great. I love it.
I'm just, basically like I can acknowledge that things will not always be good.
Yeah.
And instead of making that my personality or my worldview, I can take that further and say things will not always be good, but, but they're going to be good. And I can look forward to that. Even when I'm over here dealing with this miserable shit, I can look forward to the good that might come. Like that's enough reason to keep going when things are bad, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Like it seems silly to quit in the middle of a bad time when good is a possibility, you know? Like when it's really there as a possibility, like why give up, you know? So
Yeah,
that's where I'm at.
it's
You know, I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't be 55, 60, fucking mad necro and miserable, just like thinking that shit is going to be bad at all times, no matter what you try. Like, you're just not going to make it. You're just not going to make it. The world is going to swallow you. And I think that a lot of that is by design, that a lot of things are designed to swallow people up and give them hopelessness and psychic damage and utterly destroy them. And I think that like part of getting older and all that and fighting against that shit is like persevering.
yeah.
You know, like don't accept this stuff that they've laid out for us. Like, no way, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, that's definitely something I've been noticing well over the past few years, but like especially coming from social media, man, that's been the most damaging thing I think mentally with a lot of people and like I struggle with that a lot, just like seeing stuff that goes on social media and like I got rid of a lot of it during COVID. But you know, I kept obviously stuff for the podcast and I had Reddit for a long time, but then I got rid of that recently and like getting rid of Reddit was like a huge mental weight off of me because I don't have to see this like political news cycle 24/7. I don't have to see all the horrible shit. Not that I don't still try to keep somewhat informed, but it's not as like overwhelming or like comparing myself to somebody else on social media. It's a lot, man. And I can't imagine just trying to deal with that till you're 60 like you said.
Yeah, man. And the thing is like the fucking internet, like this shit is not gonna go away. And it's just like a part of our lives now. So you need to, if that's like something that bothers you, and I know it bothers most people that use this stuff, it's designed to get us all upset. So it's like you have to have mechanisms to defend yourself against that kind of shit.
Yeah. Yep.
Like if you're, you know, and if you're like a creative person in a creative field like you are, or like I am doing the band stuff, it's like you have to use these tools and they can really make you feel bad about yourself. And I talk a lot about this with my friends and other band people I know and people like working in music and stuff like that and art and all this artists and stuff. A lot of people I know would say that they would freely give up the internet today or whatever, but the internet has built a lot of people's careers. So I think it's like everything we're talking about, just like kind of mitigating the damage and taking the good from it and then leaving all the bad shit behind. Like it's the only way to coexist with this cycle of things that we have right now, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it's a catch 22 because like how would you as a band try and like market yourself without the internet nowadays? Like you'd
You
still have to be
can't.
like doing weird shows in the middle of nowhere, passing out flyers, you know? Like
People throw my flyers in the trash. When I hand
oh
out flyers
no.
at shows for like handbills, people of a certain age look at you like, what? Like they can't even believe that you're giving them one of these things, man. Like things have changed significantly. So that's what I mean. Like we're stuck with this set of tools for now. I think so. What I've been doing, like Primitive Man has a newsletter. I've been like encouraging people to sign up for this because it's like a direct communication through your email and it's not on the socials and it's
Yeah,
not
I like that.
messing you up, making you go on these things and whatever that shit does to people that they don't like. So it's like, yeah, using the internet, yeah, using a Gmail account to send this fucking newsletter out, but it is just a less invasive way of interacting with people, whatever else. Like trying to make a change and a pivot away from this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been thinking about that too, man, because like I had a website for a long time and I felt like it was working, but then I got rid of it. And I've been wondering if like that's probably worth it to go back to for the podcast. But I don't know. That's just off, you know,
It's a
an
slow,
idea.
I mean, dude, it's a slow harvest over there. Like that's the
Yeah.
issue here is that you're asking people a lot to like devote to take the time to devote all their attention to your little thing and
Mm-hmm.
sign up for this thing and put their email and do it all. If it's like not ultra quick and all of this shit, it's just like in this world that we live in, it's asking people a lot. So it's just a slower harvest than someone just pushing like on an already existing platform and keeping it moving. Where they may never see you again beyond when they push the like button.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was actually talking to my friends that I used to tour with about that when I saw them last. They were like, we follow on our personal accounts, we follow our band account. And they kept track of how many times they would see their band in their own algorithm, and like half the time it was like nothing at all. And then
I
every so
never,
randomly they would see it.
I never fucking see my bands in my feed. And I
It's
hate
crazy,
that.
right?
Yeah, like I'm like, this is weird. Like, and I have to go and look, you know, for stuff because I don't ever see it. And it's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, man, it's no good. If I'm not seeing it, then
Who else? Yeah, is not seeing it. Yeah. Yep.
all of the bots that
Yeah.
come to our shows. No,
Well, this is a good segue into talking about the music a little bit. You know, we kind of briefly you mentioned like kind of attention spans and how people want things quick. The one thing with primitive man music is some of the songs are very long. Obviously, people that like your music are going to listen to that, but you know, maybe somebody who's not initiated into it, how do you kind of like get them into listening to a 14-minute song? I mean, is it something you actively think about, or is it just like who cares? Like if they like it, they're going to like it.
yeah. I mean, I know that we're asking a lot of people with long songs and this kind of thing. And then on top of that, it being as harsh as it is, and the
Yep.
genre as a whole and all that. I consider the audience, but not in the way in which it affects what we're doing.
Sure.
So we're writing music that we think is good, that we want to hear, that we're happy with, and that's like the number one priority. I have like a little bit of fear that people will be like okay, like we put out Social Contract as the first single,
Yep.
and that has several minutes of Joe hitting the corner of his snare drum. That's a lot to ask people to listen to. It's a really long build up, and we know that, and I knew that, and we when we released it as the single, I knew that, but this is the song we wanted to make.
Yeah.
And I think that the difference between now, Primitive Man at 13 years as a band, and now, or in the past of Primitive Man, writing records or whatever before now is that we've like established a sound and established a thing, and I think that we are like less afraid to ask you to wait for a few minutes to have a really long intro to get into a song
Oh
because
yeah.
at 13 years of being a band, I think that unless you are new to hearing us at all, you know whether or not you like it or not. And now we're free to make anything that we want to do. So I think that this record really like we leaned into being experimental. We lean into going into territories we haven't touched before. We leaned into doing all these things. So that's why I say we consider the listener, but we really were like trying to be free and explore our sound more so because it's taken all these years for us to find our sound.
Hmm.
And if you listen to us, I think that you can really hear that we're like over all the years, the splits and all the things that have happened, like we've been leading to this point.
Yeah.
Because yeah, we're influenced by stuff, but we never wanted to sound like any of these bands at all. So that's what I mean about like trying to find a sound and like trying to get there and all this stuff. So I feel like we found it. I feel like we were able to be free here. And though we consider people we like, if you're still on board now, all these years, I don't know. I feel like it's okay.
Yeah.
Like it's just, that's what I mean. It's like we have this consideration, but we already started a losing game playing this doom metal stuff. Like we're it's already
Well, I think another thing is like me and you are of a certain age, so it's like, at least just speaking for myself, I still like listening to full albums, man. Like I don't care about like I will obviously check out singles, but when an album comes out, I listen to the whole album. I don't just cherry pick my favorite song and be like, oh, that's all I'm going to listen to, which I think a lot of younger kids do nowadays, and that's fine. That's how they consume music. But for me, it's all about that experience of getting the whole package of the album, what the artist intended, and taking that in. So when you talk about those slow parts, I listen to them and I'm like, okay, cool. what were they experimenting with when they were trying to make those slow parts? What were they trying to get out artistically? And that's how I consume music. So I know not everybody's like that. I'm just weird. So,
Well,
you know,
yeah, and and that is a valid thing to bring up. And I was actually thinking about that this morning,
mhm.
with this record and just like all the stuff we have going on. I was like, oh man, like Spotify plays and shit, like it's not very accurate for a band like us because you are probably not listening to like our 14-minute track on Spotify or whatever. And then also our song is 14 minutes. So
Yeah,
it's like the play count is going to be lower and like all of this stuff for us. It's just like a weird game we're playing being this kind of band with these fucking platforms, man. And so yes, not everyone listens to music in the same way, and I think it's because of that kind of algorithmic stuff that how things are running.
yeah,
But also this sort of gives us more reason to do it the way that we're doing it because young people come to Primitive Man shows, like younger kids are there, like, and if
I
we
believe
play
it.
all ages shows, I'll get like 17, 18-year-old kids there, sometimes younger than that. And I think it's like really about if we want people to listen to full albums and to have the attention span for long songs and like all the stuff, you have to lead by example. Like you have to make those songs and make those albums and do that stuff and expose these kids to that. I think that's the answer to it, kind of, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Like it's
mean,
already niche as it is. I mean, you may as well, do it up.
yeah. Yeah, I mean it's definitely like an experience in my opinion when you listen to something like that. Sure, am I gonna like put it on, it's just like a random song for 14 minutes? No, probably not. But if it does come on, am I gonna listen to the whole thing? Absolutely. Like I don't know, I just don't skip songs like that, but that's just me and how I listen to music.
Well, okay, me either, man. But like, I think that if that shit comes up on like a mix of song, like you know how like you're listening on the apps and stuff, like because a lot of people are
Yeah.
using you listen on the apps and like random stuff will come up. So like if one of
Mhm.
our songs come up and it's like 4 minutes of clicks, you're gonna be like, what the fuck? After like 2 minutes. So that's what I mean. I think that making these long albums and taking it out on the road and showing it to people and that sort of thing can kind of hopefully fight that and bring back this old school listening style that you and I are accustomed to.
Yeah. Have you run into like the AI bans on any of these streaming services? Like I've been seeing them pop up way more now, and it's like kind of alarming seeing that shit.
I have only seen stuff that like people have sent me,
Okay,
but I've not been listening like no. But I also am picking out what I'm listening to. You know what I mean? Like I'm like
sure.
I know what I want. Like when I'm using a streaming site or anything like that, like I know what I'm going to. So I think that that's more of like I'm not going to be exposed. Like it's just not going to happen because I'm picking what I want and I'm not like letting the feed pick it for me usually.
Yeah.
I like have control over music at work and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, I think that's probably why I ran into it. Is like if I have friends over, I'll just put on some kind of mix just so everybody's kind of like cool with stuff. But then I've had friends send me stuff to check out, and I'm like, dude, this is an AI band. Like the cover art, like everything about it is just AI. And I'm like, hey man, this band's fake. I'll even Google them just to make sure. And it's like, yeah, they're not a
Uh,
real band.
this fucking see, I've not had that happen yet, and I think that that is just
It's rough. It's kind of alarming that like people fall for it too. But how do you know unless you just do research?
yeah, no, of course. And then the other thing that's difficult is that how are you going to look at your friend and be like, all right, well, don't listen to that shit anymore because like I think it's morally incorrect. They're going to listen to that shit. It's like we're entering into the territory now of whether or not you care about if there's a human soul behind the media that you consume. I think that that is horrible.
Yeah.
And I just will never be able to accept that or get behind it. Like as soon as I see something as AI, even if I found it to be visually appealing or whatever, I'm like, fuck this. And I drop that shit because they're ruining art,
Yeah.
by doing it this way. And I know I've heard all the AI arguments from all of the tech bros. I have seen it.
Hmm.
And I just don't think that any of the arguments hold up. You are taking the soul away from art. And a lot of this stuff looks like shit. Like even when it gets close, it still
It's
kind
still
of looks
odd.
like, yeah, like shit. Like I've been seeing a lot of
Yeah.
like unrealistic nature. So yeah, a ton of unrealistic nature videos where like cougar comes up and doesn't eat a baby, and then the mom grabs the baby, and like shit that's like clearly is like made by a machine,
Oh my
like
God.
this kind of shit. And it's like it looks realistic and all this, but it's just kind of like sickening. It's sickening to me that this is a reality that we have to face, man. Like, and even if you want to take out the art argument, the fucking environmental cost
Yeah.
is so great that I just like, fine, we don't need to talk about the art part. Like, fine, you like AI art, fucking whatever, but then the environmental cost, please explain to me why we need this shit when it eats the earth, takes people out of creative positions, takes people out of jobs in general, cheapens the arts as a whole. Like, what good is it? It's like
Yeah. I
so
don't.
that you can watch a fucking porno Family Guy that you made at your computer. Like that's disgusting. Like this shit, I don't know, man. I think AI is foul. Like people, I've seen people make like Primitive Man fucking fan art with AI and then send it to us. And I'm there and I'm like, how is this made? And then they'll tell me, and I'm like, all right. And I just, I'm like, I don't like that. Like, I'll tell people, like,
Yeah.
I don't like this shit. I just don't know how people aren't seeing the cost. There's a cost here for having this AI shit. And they're using it. This not even the fucking surveillance. I mean, man, I could talk all podcast about how much I hate AI.
Yeah. There's a there Memphis. I'm not close to Memphis, but it's like 5 hours away from me, and there's an AI data center up there that is like polluting an entire fucking town because of it. And I'm just like, and the people that live in that town have brought it up over and over again, and the town will not get rid of the place because it brings in money. And it's just like, but you're killing these people and you're killing the earth, and it's just like, what for what?
You
Fake
know,
cat pictures that they
uh,
look like wizards.
Yeah, like what the fuck? And that's a classic American tale. If it weren't an AI data center, it would be some other shit in which they were polluting a town and then not
Yeah.
doing what was necessary to take care of those fucking people. So that's not unique, but it's unique in that it's an AI data center now. So it's like another problem, like another environmental problem that regular people are going to have to deal with. And I just, man, I can't, I don't want to accept that. I don't want to support this stuff. I won't do it. And I encourage people not to support this AI shit. I point it out all the time at
Yeah.
like any opportunity that I get that it's bullshit. And I think that most creative people with integrity have done the same.
It's
So
true.
what you have to hope is that people retain that integrity and that we can bully these nerds back into the darkness and they can keep all of this fucking technology because we don't need this shit. I just, you know,
Yeah, the other thing I've noticed just as far as like the artistic side of it and bands utilizing it, the whole thing with like music, and we'll just use metal. Obviously this goes to any genre, but like it used to be like we're all in this together. We're a band, we hire an artist to do our cover, and then we hire a director who's an artist to do our music video. You're keeping each of these artistic things alive through each other's, outlet. But now you see bands that are cutting out the cover artists and they're using AI, and then they're cutting out the videographer or director and just using an AI video. And it's like, for what? So they can make $2 more on a CD? Like,
Well,
You
and
know?
that's what I mean. You're fucking ruining the ecosystem of the arts when you start to cut out
Yeah.
all of these people who are usually involved in a project. That's kind of what I was trying to say earlier, is it's just
Yeah.
like this artists typically are the ones that help other artists of other kinds. And yeah, you're fucking up the ecosystem when you use AI. You're harming your fellow artists. Also, if a band uses AI for their cover art, then fuck your shitty music. I hope that someone makes a fucking band that sounds like your band.
Yeah.
Like, like that is like how do you not see that when you use AI for your artwork, that that sword can be turned on your ass for the art that you're creating? It is preposterous. Like I don't get it. There's a band that I grew up listening to actually who recently used AI for their cover art, and I thought to myself, like, bro, I would have done that for free. If
Right?
you like they're a known enough band to where they could have gotten somebody to do it for free.
Right?
Now, and I would almost rather see the headline that they ripped off a magnificent artist than that they used fucking AI, because at least that artist is going to get some sort of work and some sort of boost from them getting fucked by the band instead of just them using AI and that being the controversy. Is this making any sense?
Yeah,
Like, I know
yeah.
that
No, I know what you
sounds
mean.
crazy, but it really is. I think that this shit is a poison. We need to keep it out of our artistic communities, man. Like, and AI affects all sorts of things outside of art that I could get into that I think, it's just no good. We just don't need machines to do this kind of shit.
No.
Like, we don't need it. We don't need it.
No,
Mm.
I feel like that's, part of why humans are here. Like, we need some kind of creative artistic outlet. And I think people take that for granted. Just
Yeah, like,
imagine
what are
if it
you
all went
here
away.
for? Yeah,
Yeah.
like, what are they? That's the thing, is I'm just like, what are you?
To work? Fuck that.
Right. Like, what do you see? And I think, but that's the thing is a lot of these people that are creating this shit. I don't work in tech, but I got friends that work in tech. I've known some
Yep.
people that work in tech, and the culture over there is to grind, 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 grind. And so they are trying to take that and apply it over here, and it's like that does not belong here. Like, I that doesn't belong in the world of artists. Bringing that grind set bullshit over here when we're trying to create art and whatever is just not proper. That's not how it should be. Now, that doesn't mean I don't understand a deadline,
Sure.
but
But you can't rush art either. Then you get bad art if it's rushed.
no, like they want to be able to pop out a full album layout in 15 minutes, and it's just like,
I can get a nice rough draft in 15 minutes.
I can't even get you a rough draft.
Oh,
Like, I
man.
need, like I need, no, I'm very anti-AI, and I think that artists, it's the moral thing. You're morally obligated to stand against this shit. If you were a true artist, and if you're an artist that then starts to incorporate AI, I feel the same. What would you have done if this wouldn't have come around? You
No,
know?
it happens for me when I like use a lot of stuff for like editing. I keep getting pushed all these AI tools, and I'm like, I don't want to use those. I want to edit everything myself. I want to learn how to do this. And
I've
same with
noticed that.
Photoshop. Like
Yeah,
that shit's all
Photoshop.
in there now, and I'm like, I don't want this. Like I know how to make shit.
I was just about to say that. And what's funny is when I first started doing art and using Photoshop, because a lot of my stuff is collage based and like
Hmm.
digital um paint based.
Yeah.
Like, there's some analog in there, but there's a ton of digital Photoshop use. And when I first started doing art, uh there was criticism that like digital art is not real art and like all of this shit. And I've
Yep.
even considered that with my view of AI. The difference is that my hands are doing things and working and not typing words to make a prompt to create this. Like, I'm having to manipulate something to make this shit come into place. Like,
Yeah.
it's a way different animal. So now to be here all these years later and people having these discussions about whether or not you can make cover art or music or whatever ethically using these programs, I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Is like, I shouldn't even be having this conversation. It seems so cut and dry to me, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely hard, like you mentioned, when a band you enjoy puts out something that's AI, and you're like, oh man, like, do I want to give this my time now? Like, just seems not worth it. But
I mean, yeah, I feel bad about that too. I have this whole moral conundrum where I'm like, all right, well, am I going to
yep.
fucking listen to this or am I just going to not listen to it? And I have not listened to a single one of them yet, though I have considered still listening to it because you still did make the music. But it's just like, I don't know, man. That shit really shouldn't happen. And I don't know. I feel like artists were talking about it for a while, but it seems like people are kind of like cooling on it. And I'm like, no, never cool on this. Like, we should never cool on
Hmm.
this issue.
No,
But
it's yeah. I kind of do the same thing you mentioned too. Like if I see something pop up and I'm like, this is AI slop, get it out of here. You know, it's gone.
yeah, man, it's like you want to give the people that bullied you in high school for learning this craft the ability to do this shit in 15 minutes. Like, fuck that. Like, this shit is earned, man. Like, no way.
Well, speaking of tangible, actual art, as far as writing for this new record, you guys started pretty soon after the last EP I read. Is that correct? And you know,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
so you guys stayed pretty much busy off that EP momentum. Uh, Take me into a little bit more of like how you guys kind of did everything throughout the recording process and writing process.
Okay. So it's easiest for me to kind of just like tell you this in like a timeline.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
that's perfect.
all right. Some of these riffs we'd had, and they were just like on a board, like
Okay,
listed. And then we were going on tour and then jamming in between and rehearsing and getting ready for different legs of tours and whatever, and like writing songs in between. But the writing was like consisting of a lot of jamming together and coming up with ideas, writing them down, incorporating some of these old riffs. Then we get a couple of songs. I say in quotes because they're not like really done, but they're done enough.
yeah,
Then we're going on tour. We're playing these songs in like a live setting along with our regular songs, like our back
that's sick.
catalog, just like throwing it in there to see how it feels to play them and just like you were like field testing our shit
Yeah,
out there kind of.
kind of like a comedian like trying a new joke.
Absolutely. It's exactly the same thing, except for it lasts 15 minutes. And so and so then we're doing that, taking it back to the space, talking about how it felt and these things, and we're changing this stuff out on tour and going through it. And then we end up doing like a tour with Napalm Death where we play those every night for like 8 weeks or something. And then we do a tour where we go out with Amon Ra and a tour we go out with Baroness, and we're playing skeletons of these songs on these tours as well. And then we come home, and then I think that we had like a 9 month break
Okay,
and we wrote some more songs and tied all of this stuff together and made some changes, and we're like writing all the way up until we were in the studio pretty much with Andy, and everything kind of got pushed into place then at the final moment, but not because we were like rushed, but I would say more so because we were like really taking our time and like really inspecting the material that we were making. So it sounds chaotic to like write this stuff and take it on tour and play it and change the songs and do all this, which like it sort of is. But it isn't in the sense that when all is said and done, like we've like really looked at these songs in every way that you possibly could to make them
yeah,
with the ways that we'd had, and this is like to us the best. They're made the best that they could have ever been made, and so that's what you have here with this release. Like we're like we've focused on all of the albums that we've done, but this record got probably it got more focused than anything we've ever done. Obsessed with it, making demo recordings like nonstop, like texting about it. Just, I mean, man, we were like really into this process, even though it was in the middle of all this other activity. So that's why I had to kind of explain to you in a timeline because it was just done in such like kind of a weird way.
yeah. No, I mean that's amazing. Like that you guys would like kind of demo out songs live like that. I've only heard a rumor that Mastodon did this once with Leviathan. I don't know if it's true or not, but I've never really heard of many bands like doing that, or maybe they'll try like a piece of a new song. But that's an awesome way to like do that. Scary. I gotta imagine it's scary because you don't know how it's gonna go over, but you kind of, I guess, get that immediate test from how the audience is reacting to it as well. I would assume.
Yeah, definitely. So there's a song on the record called The Seer, and that record we played pretty true to form on these tours, and it has like some psychedelic parts on it and stuff. And I was like curious to see how audiences react to that, and like everyone seems to be stoked on it. Like that new Primitive Man and like friends we had was like, oh, was that new? Like noticed it and like this kind of stuff. And like people asking us about the songs when we would play them. So
Oh hell yeah.
getting that feedback was pretty cool and a new experience, you know what I mean? Like that's crazy to get feedback on songs you never recorded. You know what I mean? It's cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So when you're experimenting live that way, uh, after you kind of like got everything down to like where you basically want it and you're ready to go into the studio, what were you kind of like? Were you experimenting with anything studio wise that maybe you hadn't before into these songs?
yeah, so we were playing noise, like live electronics for the last couple of years at all these shows. All the live electronic stuff that we did, we ended up like distilling into samples and then putting them on the record
Oh
and
wow.
really messing around with those because it was like a that was free form section of our set. So having to like pick places for that stuff and solidify it in like less of an improv way was very studio.
Okay.
But now we're playing them as it is recorded, you know what I mean? So that's what I mean about like even writing all the way up into the studio. Like some of this stuff, because of the nature of the kind of band we are, what we're doing, the where we're writing the songs, it took that process to where we would need to finalize it there. There's just so much up in the air, and we're up there on the stage, like in our vibe and like flowing with it and kind of going with it. So, you know, taming it, I guess, is really what going into the studio is. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's the best, the only way I can think to put it, you know.
Do you guys record everything kind of separately, or do you kind of go for that live sound of recording stuff?
No, we do it separately. Like
Okay.
John and I are in the room. Well, okay, John and I are in the room with Joe for the drums,
Hmm.
and we're setting all I say this because I do this right because I show hits. We do hits when I do this.
Okay.
So like we're doing all this stuff together and like all of the visual cues together, and then I'm going in there and I'm recording my parts without being able to do that with Joe, but it just like kind of like works out. Or if it doesn't, we just go back and I try to do it again. You know what I mean? Like this kind of shit. But having that element of being in the room together and doing the drums together and the way that it would be if we were playing on a stage or in the room is really important. And we've always done it that way so that it can be as true to form as it's, gonna be when we're doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like that. It's like a conductor almost. Like we got to get this at the right time, the right
Yeah,
motion.
yeah, and it's really like only a pain in the ass when we have to go in there and record our parts for those pieces. But when we're going to do it live, we're there. We're doing it
Yeah.
right then and there, and it's fine. And it may be a little again, like Primitive Man is very rock and roll, right? So it's like it may be like a little bit different in a live setting because we're interacting with each other. But you get the idea. It's on there, and it's the same thing. It's just open to the live element and the live spirit more so.
Yeah, that's something I've brought up on this podcast a ton of like, much like AI, there are bands that use nothing but backing tracks now. So they're like basically miming their songs, which
Yeah.
takes a lot of the fun out of a live show, I think. But, you guys on the other hand are like very DIY, like we're everything is like tangible for the most part. I assume like you use some backing tracks. Is Am I wrong about that?
So only for electronics.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
so like,
totally
like
normal.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. We were doing it live for a while, but now we have it all like on samples and stuff to make it easier. So only like noise and electronic stuff, but there won't be an instrument that is a backing track. And that's why too, when you asked me what I did with the spiritual poison stuff, I was like pretty specific that it's like a textural backing track and not
Yeah.
like a live instrument. Because there is definitely a difference in the approach or whatever. But what you go ahead with what you're saying.
No, no,
Sorry.
that's pretty much what I was asking. Like, yeah, because it's I don't know, man. I get why some people do it, but it just kind of takes the authenticity out of it for me. And I want to hear real instruments. I want to hear a real band playing their songs, and not the album. I can go listen to the album.
I've thought about that. I love a band that does stuff different live and that there's like a cool, unique live experience there that is for that night only, and I'm seeing it. I love
Yeah,
that shit. We've toured with bands that use backing tracks and they put on a great show every night and that kind of thing. But it's not for me
yeah,
to do. I don't think it's just not for me to do. But I think it really depends on what you want from your music, man. I think that like the average no instrument playing concert goer who just is there for a Modelo and a show is just like doesn't give a shit about that.
yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I mean? So I think that is definitely like a musician question. For me, backing tracks and stuff, no, that's not how I would want to do it. But who knows? We might be writing songs that require me to take a but you know what I would do? I would just bring another musician. So no.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I want to go back to one last thing about the recording. As far as like engineering and everything, like are you guys very less is more when it comes to recording, or are you like very meticulous about like what goes on in the recording of and the final product of everything?
Can you maybe explain your question further?
Yeah. So like maybe not doing like a ton of backing tracks on the guitar or overdubs on guitars, just like one or two or three, or I don't know.
Oh no,
Just
oh
stuff like
no.
that.
No, it's pretty like bare bones. Like I do two guitar tracks, or
Cool.
whatever. But
Yeah.
that's it. That's like the most, you know, everything else that you hear we're gonna be able to recreate in front of you. So I guess that's like kind of our thing. Like there's some stuff with like the dual guitar tracking where I
Mhm.
took some liberty there that I'm only one person, and so there won't it might not sound exactly the same because there's two guitar tracks with different reverbs and different delays on there, creating a
Yeah.
disorienting effect that I might not be able to create exactly in a live setting, but I'm gonna like do stuff to try and make it as close as possible, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but other than that, I mean, it's very like, nah, man, like very straightforward process for us, you know?
That's good. Yeah, I like that. I like that. It lends more to like the sound too, I think, because you guys do have so much like soundscape in there. I mean, I can't imagine like dubbing 10, 15 guitars on all that stuff.
No, I think the most nitty-gritty stuff really is like the electronics and nailing those and and getting all that improv stuff in there together and everything. That's like the most like in the studio messing with the shit you'll see us, but otherwise it is just like playing our songs and doing them up as we've been writing them and trying to keep them true to how they were in the room. Like we're very purists in that we want the record to sound as close to how we do live. It may
Mhm.
not be exactly, but as close as it can be, like that's our tone. That's how my vocals are going to sound. That's how John's going to, like really as close as we can, within reason,
Yeah.
you can't like you're never going to get I mean, I guess that's a bullshit statement because you're never going to get how we sound live properly on a recording in like the exact same way because it is punishing your ass because it's so loud.
Yeah,
But I
I've heard.
think that like getting the clarity of the songs and like what we're doing and capturing the tones in a way that's like easier to put together than getting bombarded in a club,
Yeah.
is the goal. But so it's like, how do you? have that power on a recording? How do you like recreate that power on a recording? And I actually don't know that we've been able to do that until this release. That's one thing I'll say. I think that this release is the closest representation to what we sound like in a club or whatever.
Damn.
That Andy really like at Bricktop really like dialed this in true to the idea, you
Mhm.
know? Because in the past there's been engineers we worked with that have like had ideas about changing this or that. So this time there was none of that. Andy knows where we're coming from, and having that understanding with the engineer, I think also made this record special, and that it is the best representation of the band thus far.
Do you
So
guys tour with the sound guy at all, or do you use like venue
we
sound guys?
do. We
Okay, cool.
do. We tour with our friend Kim, and Kim has been our first and pretty much only sound person since we started having a sound person. Our friend Bill has sat in one time, but Kim is with us on every tour. Like if you've seen us between 2021 and now, Kim has probably been mixing us.
That's awesome. Okay, yeah, because I notice a big difference when a band has a personal sound person and they can afford that, versus like when a venue mixes and man, they're missing something here. They just don't get what's going on. Not that all venue people are bad, not generalizing, but you can tell the difference. I think personally.
Yeah, I think it's helped out us a lot because asking a person to mix this kind of stuff is hard. Like I know that
Yeah.
what we're asking people to deal with is difficult. We want to be loud and all of this shit. So having our own person was necessary for us to be able to like present this shit in a way that is accurate and isn't full of problems. Like we'd had no sound person for many years, and then we just reached a point where I was just like, look, I like we all were like, I just can't deal with the overwhelmed sound guy anymore or the angry sound guy anymore. And I think what really broke us was Europe. We did a European tour and I can't remember. I think it was just a headliner, and we were just getting shit every night from those sound guys. And I'm playing through half the stuff over there on that continent, and like we were just like, we got to get somebody. And so then we've had Kim, and it's been smooth sailing
Hell
since
yeah.
then.
Shout outs to Kim for doing an amazing
Yeah,
job.
no, for real. We're only able to be loud because Kim says no when people say to turn down. Thank you, Kim.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed to say, man, I still have not gotten to see you guys live. The last time I got a chance to, I wasn't able to because I was working. And I think you guys were touring with a Case Restraint at the time. It would have been like
Yeah.
23, 22, somewhere around there.
Oh yeah, man,
Um,
those Case Strain dudes are so cool. We had so much fun with them in that tour, man. And have you heard
uh,
that record? That's pretty good. That new one,
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Oh my God, I saw them live not even 3 months ago. They came through here, so
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah. That's
cool.
it. That's on my bucket list. I know you guys are touring soon. I think you're coming through Atlanta in December, so I'm trying to like work it out so I can get down there.
Oh,
But we'll
okay,
see.
okay, all right. So you live in Georgia?
I live in Tennessee, so if
Oh,
you came through
oh,
Nashville or Atlanta, they're like an hour and a half away from where I'm at.
yeah, no Nashville for this one, but Atlanta for sure.
Sick. Yeah, I'm gonna try and finally make it out, but we'll see.
Let me know, man. I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe one last thing I want to touch on. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Uh, some of the themes of the record are about like what's going on in the real world, and it's pretty rough out there right now, man. I I know things are tough, but at the same time, like having that catharsis to write about it in a record, how does that kind of help you deal with those feelings of how the world is going right now?
Well, I'm gonna feel the effects anyway, so I may as well turn these feelings into something positive for my life, which is a stereotypical answer. But the thing of it is I think it's like something that needs to be said because I've had periods of my life where I've been so miserable. It's like difficult for me to even make anything. I didn't see a point in making stuff, I know a lot of musicians who struggle with having the creative drive to like do shit. So I think that yeah, it's crucial to have this outlet. Like when things are less than desirable in the world, it's crucial to have this outlet. And then also, if you're lucky and you get to put art or music out and it gives people hope, that's like a positive thing as well. So
Yep.
I don't know, just trying to look at the positive side of making this negative ass music, you know.
So with that, like, do you see a positive outcome to where things are going, or is it, I'll just tell you my opinion. Sometimes I feel like it's about to get worse, man. Like every day. But every now and then it's like, okay, maybe this will get better in like a year, 2 years. We'll see. I don't know. What's kind of your opinion on the state of things right now?
You know, man, I'm no political scientist. I think that anything that they do now that goes against regular people in a way that seems like it goes against your human rights, they're not going to roll back. So like I like take a lot of issue with mass surveillance and this leads into the AI thing and stuff like that. And any of the like technology that they pump money into now, no matter if we have elections in 2028, if they elect the other team, all of those things that they've done for mass surveillance and data collection and whatever, they're not gonna take it back. They're gonna keep it. I think
Wow.
in like those instances and things like that, we're fucked. Like that's not going to change. Yeah, that's just not. Um, I think that I have a lot of like really fringe opinions on where we're going and where we're at. And I think like if I were, I feel like we're sort of witnessing the decline of an empire, right? And like that we're in the middle of watching it happen.
Yeah.
And I think that like, and that's not an anti-American sentiment.
Sure.
It's just I think that like we're watching the decline of an empire, man, and like
It's
there's all
it's
sorts of things that come from that, and people in power react in ways that are gonna hurt us the most, working class people the most, regular people the most. And they're going to try to squeeze us for whatever they can in the meantime while things go to shit. And it totally sucks. And I am hopeful that something that we can do things to fight back against this. That's why it's like in that's part of staying positive and all this shit that we talked about and the things I've been saying about being positive. It's like that's why I'm trying to do like little things, like
yeah.
encourage people to check out our newsletter so that you can be like they can get less data off of where you're going. You know, like you are connected with the stuff that you want to be connected with directly, and that's how you're living your life, and you're not hooked into this online data collection technology as much. You know, like I know that this stuff rules our lives, but you can like opt out a little bit and we can fight back a little bit by like not participating in the game. You like returning to community and returning to what's going on in front of us in our neighborhoods and stuff like that is important. I think that we need to like find a return to interacting with one another. I feel like people don't know how to like be with one another because they have us on this
Yeah.
magic device. Like when you're out in public, everyone is in this magic box, this little mirror, this little I mean Black Mirror, haha, like this little fucking device that keeps all of our attention, that holds your whole life in it, that is like so important. And it's just like we need to return back to like an analog way of living more so because it's like gotten out of hand. So you take this like technology stuff and you mix it in with like everything we have going on here in America and what I believe to be the rise of authoritarianism worldwide, and it looks
Mm.
pretty bad. But the thing of it is that you can't just like lay down and let them have it. I mean, even if resistance is futile, you should at least give them some of it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
when I
I'm not just
step,
gonna lay down.
like when I go to the woods and I step on a fire ant hill without shoes on, though I will destroy where they live and I will destroy several of the ants when I step on it, they're gonna eat my fucking leg. And I'm never gonna forget to not step on a fire ant hill ever again because they'd eat my ass up. And I may have lived and I may have destroyed their little anthill, but I'm never going to forget about it. And I think that that's like the philosophy that we need to have here is that you can do a lot of damage. If there's a lot of you, you don't have to accept this life that they're giving us. You can look for ways to find joy and happiness and satisfaction despite the things that are happening because the things that we can do as regular people are little
Mhm.
because I'm not gonna, yeah, like all the things we can do are little right now. The place that we're at right now, everything you can do is little.
Yep.
And I think that having a little bit of pushback is better than nothing. Like it gives you just a little bit, like have some agency, you know?
Yeah, it's you kind of mentioned this a second ago, and it's something I've been weirdly thinking about a lot lately is like when did we as not just a society but as humanity get so insular? Because if you think about like the 1700s and the 1800s, people could just travel wherever the fuck they wanted and they would go and experience the world. People would go from the East Coast and go discover the West Coast and like it feels like we've lost all sense of that and now we're just like in our little bubbles and don't care about anything outside of that.
Oh, but I would argue that while you had all that, you had people talking about foreigners coming and fucking shit up, people traveling
Yeah,
from other places, all sorts of biases about people from this area of the country versus this area of the country, and this and that and this and that. We've always been stupid like this, but you would think that with technology and all of these things, it were supposed to benefit us that we could get over this shit, but clearly we're not. I
yeah,
think I think that, but to run with what you're saying, I think that shit like the pandemic, shit like having every movie and every album that you ever need at your home keeps people here, you know. But I actually very much blame the pandemic over people being so like now in modern times and being they've exploited the fuck out of that of
yeah,
people being their own little islands, and I think that's part of it. I
yeah.
think that
It's
like because no one in my family who's older than me had even ever left the country has left the country. Like a lot of
okay.
people in my family have never left the country, and a lot of people in my family have never left the town that they are from.
Wow.
And they're older than me too, like people my mother's age. Like yeah, man, like people born in the 60s who never left the town that they're from. And
Man.
so, I think that that's actually that we're talking about this. I think that that's like a root of a lot of problems is that people don't travel, they don't get out, and they don't know what other people or situations or scenarios is like. So they're just going to take what people say it is like when it's not
Yeah,
what it's really like. If that makes any sense. I think that we're insular because with a lack of knowledge about other things out there, you're going to fear it. We've always been like this.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that all the time out here since moving back from California. And when I mention that, they're like, "Ugh, California, all those homeless people and liberals and gays." And I'm like, "You mean like anywhere else in the fucking world? Like, come on, dude."
You're like, you mean like in the city center, probably of like the
Yeah,
town you live in where like the
yeah.
weirdos do shit. It's just like the fuck, man. Like that's what I mean. Yeah, that's funny you mentioned
So
California
weird.
because Colorado hates California as well. People from here
It's
hate it.
surprising. You
They
guys
call
both
it
love weed.
yes, but Colorado is a purple place.
Okay.
We're a purple place. You know, they call it California here. You hear that shit from Colorado people all the fucking time. And I always just laugh about it. I'm just like, you've never even fucking been to California, man. Like how,
Yeah.
like how would you know about that? I think that that's a big problem, man. People that don't venture out of their backyard believing bullshit and having a worldview based off of lies, like no factual information. And these fucking phones and this tech and all this stuff that we're doing definitely does not help.
Yeah, man. Talk to people more. I know it's hard, anxiety, like social anxiety, it's really hard. But when you can just like get to know somebody, it's nice. I had this happen to me, man, like recently. I was at a show and some random dude just started talking to me. I didn't know him, and I was just like, "Huh, this like never happens." Like having somebody just actually try to have a conversation with you. And like we're just talking about the bands and everything and like I was like, "Man, that's so odd. Like that never happens." And it kind of got me more of like maybe I should try to do that more. But it's hard. I have uh, trouble talking to strangers, which you would be surprised considering I do this 90% of the time. But I don't know, man. It was just a good experience. I was like, damn, that was kind of cool. Like nobody ever does that anymore.
I appreciate genuine human connection too. Like when I'm out and I run into stuff like that, like situations that are like that. But then I was thinking about this. It's like that's how I grew up and like lived my life as a kid. Like I didn't have a cell phone till I was like 23 years old.
Yeah,
So
I think the same thing, man. For me, like it's a long
yeah.
time.
Yeah. So, like talking to people, asking people how to get to a place and talking to strangers and all sorts of shit was just like part of your everyday life. But there's
Hmm.
a generation that it's not been like that for them. And so I actually wonder a lot about that, like what human interaction is going to look like for people who didn't have to raw dog their relationships. Like all the close relationships I have were all ones, analog ones, like that I met through conversation and situations, like without a computer or a cell phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know if this happens to everybody, but I will say, two of my best friends, like we actually didn't even like each other when we first met each other. Like it's just one of those things that like once we actually got to know each other and like our differences aside, it was like, damn, this person's pretty fucking cool. Like I don't know.
I have a friend who I have that with, and I was like not nice to her at all, and then now we're thick as thieves.
Yeah.
It's the same situation, man. I understand. Yeah.
Man. Well, Ethan, this has been great, dude. Seriously, I really appreciate your time and coming on the podcast again, man. It's been fun.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you taking the time to even give a shit about Primitive Man and ask me to be on here. So thank you.
Always, always. So the record comes out this Friday, correct?
Yep, this Friday, record
Okay.
is out. I'm so proud of it. We're very proud of it. It's telling you, we think it's our best record, which I know bands say every time that they put out a record, but now that we're here in 2025, I can tell you that I didn't think Immersion was our best record, and I lied to you. And I actually think that this is our best record now that we're here. So
Yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't one of your record one of them celebrating a 10-year anniversary, right? One came out in 2015. I
um
could be wrong. I could be
so
wrong.
yeah, Home is Where the Hatred Is came out in
Yeah,
2015. Um yes, it did come out in 2015, and I have not talked about that at all.
it's
Holy shit.
crazy.
Wow.
I think
So
I
that
meant to bring that up, and I totally just spaced and didn't remember until just now. But
Well, man, what's crazy about that then is that that means that Joe has been in the band for 10 years because that year was the year that he joined up was when that came out.
wow. Okay.
So
Damn.
yeah, we've had this current lineup for a decade now, and that is really crazy.
Yeah, that's
Well,
rare
thank you
too.
for reminding me.
Yeah, no, no. Like I said, I think I was gonna bring it up, and I just kind of spaced on it because it happens. We got in a good flow of conversations, so it's all good.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, man. Yeah, well, 10 years, a lot has changed. I mean, but we were just listening to that the other day at rehearsal, talking about maybe trying to play some of those songs because we're
Mm,
on our tour that we're coming up. We're trying to play something off of every release, like
that's sick.
album release. So we'll see if we pull something out from that one. But yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
That was my introduction to you guys. So that album has a special place inside here for me. But it's usually how it is when you find your first album from a band.
I think that that record is where a lot of people discovered us for the first time, because we toured really hard on that one
Hmm.
and did a lot of shit on that record. And it took a couple of years before Caustic came out. And then I remember when we put out Caustic, everyone was like, man, these fucking songs are long. This shit is too long. And then we put out Immersion, and everyone was like, man, this shit is too short. These fucking songs are short. And now we put out another long record. So now we'll get to see what everyone really thinks.
Well, hell yeah! I can't think of a better way to close it out than that.